Alrighty, it is time for what's been going on in the food truck industry this past week. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the FDA warnings that have been sent out and some recalls. We're going to talk a little bit about some news around different cities and states around the country. And we're going to talk a little bit about loss aversion. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Let's just jump right into the news this week. We'll start with the FDA and the different warnings they sent out and the different recalls. What you may not understand is the FDA sends out recalls nearly daily. There's sometimes we get 2 and 3 emails about different recalls as they happen. So some of these recalls involve just small amounts of food product, a few hundred pounds, and it's localized to perhaps one distribution center or one particular manufacturer. Then there's the other end of the spectrum where there is a big name company that's recalling several thousand pounds of food. Sometimes those make the news, sometimes they don't. So let's talk about what did happen this past week. FDA warnings with a company called John B. Sanfilippo and Sons. They issued an allergy alert on undeclared coconut and milk products that were in their honey roasted cashew packages. And this was something that Walmart sells at great value. So what you got to think about this is it's already an allergen because it's a nut. And then it's also adding coconut and it has milk that's not declared. So that could become an issue for somebody that is allergic to those things. That's one of the FDA warnings that gets sent out pretty frequently. But also there's some serious ones. Like this particular one has been going on for the last several months, and it's about lead and chromium levels that are higher than normal, and it's in a product that we give to our kids, and that product is cinnamon applesauce. And this has been going on for the last several months, and that is a big issue. Wesco Incorporated, they issued a voluntary recall and allergy alert on undeclared peanuts in, of all things, mint no-bake cookie bites. That could be a big deal for someone that has that allergy to peanuts. Jen's Breakfast Burritos LLC recalled ready-to-eat breakfast burrito products because they had listeria contamination. That means somebody got sick, and that means several people most likely got sick and were able to trace it back to that particular product. Psalm Partners LLC out of Denmark, Wisconsin, recalled approximately 35,430 pounds of Johnsonville turkey kielbasa sausage. It was contaminated with foreign materials and specifically pieces of rubber. That's 35,000 pounds of kielbasa that was recalled. That one should have made the news because that's a whole bunch of sausage, but it didn't. It didn't make the national news. So if you sell Johnsonville turkey kielbasa, you might want to check your product dates. Kalo Foods LLC is recalling single slice carrot cake. And you're thinking, well, why are they doing that? It's because they imprinted the wrong UPC code with the ingredient panel for their product. They used the one for chocolate cake and placed it on a carrot cake. So anybody that flips it over to read what the ingredients are is seeing a whole wrong list of ingredients for that carrot cake. So they had to recall all of those that were produced at that one particular plant. Then the FDA just sent out a generic warning asking restaurants and food retailers to not serve or sell and to dispose of mussels. And they also sent this out to consumers telling them not to eat mussels from Allen's Fisheries, and that's out of Newfoundland, Canada. And the specific harvest date was 2/7/24. And it was from a specific area since these are sustainable mussels, and it was the harvest area AQ number 15. Now, these particular mussels were distributed in Connecticut, Florida, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. So something that was imported ended up being recalled. So now let's kind of talk a little bit about some news that's going on around the country. So in Massachusetts, they changed their SNAP benefits program to now include food trucks. It already included some restaurants, so they expanded it to food trucks. Now, if you're not familiar with what SNAP benefits are, that's essentially food stamps. Low-income families are given a little bit of a help and assistance with buying food, especially nutritious food. So in Massachusetts, they allow some restaurants to take SNAP benefits, and now they're allowing some food trucks. The goal, of course, is to get high-quality food, nutritious food to people that need it. And food trucks, being mobile, are able to move around to different areas and provide the kind of food that some folks may need. This is something that we hope will be able to be done in many other states. With Massachusetts doing it now, we at least have an example state to convince our legislature to allow us to sell hot food through the SNAP benefits program. Now, if you're saying, but Bill, food stamps should be for commodities and things that they need to stock their pantry with, I agree. However, many places that sell food, like a grocery store, also do hot foods. And a lot of them will accept the EBT cards or the SNAP benefit cards to pay for the hot chicken that they're selling. There's a whole bunch of people right now that not only are not growing their own food, that's why we have to have so much SNAP benefits or food stamps, but there's a whole bunch of people that almost don't know how to cook their own food. And they're relying on other folks to do that for them. Think about the older people that physically just can't get up and cook. For them to be able to get a hot meal is a big deal. So whatever your personal feelings are about the program, take advantage of it. Make the income while you can, because at some point it may swing the other way to where they say, no hot foods ever. This week, a company called Flavor Delivery announced that they were going to be joining the Toast Partner ecosystem, and that integration is designed to allow restaurants and, of course, food trucks to streamline operations and directly integrate with Flavor's marketplace with their POS system, again from Toast, to allow a seamless ordering experience for the guests. So it's one more third-party delivery that's going to be able to help generate some sales. So it's something worth checking into if you are in Texas. Now, here's an interesting one. This is from an article written in PR Newswire out of New York, and they're talking about the growth in our food industry. They say that currently our industry has $1.409 billion, and they expect it to grow at about 6% increase year over year until at least 2027. Now, here's the problem with that number. It's wrong. Now, that's just an estimate, and they're estimating it based on, I have no clue what it's based on. Problem with the number, and how I know that this is an incorrect number, is there are about 37,000 food trucks around the country, or mobile food businesses. Now, how do we know that number? Because that could be a guess too. Whenever you file your income tax, there's a little segment at the bottom of one of the pages that asks you to talk about what industry you're in. And it gives you a little code, or it tells you to look up the code. Our industry is mobile food, and it has a certain code. So all of the tax forms that have that code are added together, and there's, like I said, around 37,000 of them. Now, what that doesn't include is people that own more than one truck, because all they're doing is filing their business taxes, and their business is mobile food. They could have 11 trucks. They could have 20 trucks. And there are a number of people that do have multiple trucks. So there's at least 37,000 food trucks. So if you take that original number, that $1.4 billion, divided by 37,000, you're going to get a very dismal revenue number for the average food truck. And it is a very low 5-digit number. In order for that to be the average, that means there had to be a bunch of trucks making less than that. And this isn't profit. This is top line revenue, because it's market size. So you bring in $1,000 today, top line revenue, that's what's being counted. So we know that that number's understated. I personally think that we're probably $3.5 billion, if not more, on average. Because when you divide that out, that's going to give you about $100,000 average unit sales, which means that leaves room for the people that are only making $30,000 and $40,000 a year, again, revenue, to be balanced by the people that are doing $500,000, $750,000, or even a full million. That's why that number's understated. The reason I bring that up is whenever you see someone claim to be an expert and they spit out that number, you can tell them, well, you're not an expert because that's the wrong number. In the city of, or the town of Fort Myers Beach, the city council in the town of Fort Myers Beach, The council management and planning session focused on whether to limit commercial trailers, including food trucks. The local planning agency wants to bring in food trucks as far as having a food court. And they have a piece of property they would love to look at it. So they're going to, on one hand, limit the commercial trailers, effectively creating a monopoly for a piece of property that they own. So I'm all about food trucks getting the opportunities to go places they haven't been allowed. But I'm not real fond of let's create a monopoly, because that's going to limit the number of people that can be in the city. In Rochester, a public hearing on Wednesday was set to discuss a Chick-fil-A food truck coming to the city. Now think about that. This is a national brand. It is a franchise of Chick-fil-A, and they're having to deal with the city doesn't want them to come in. Now, if they were going to do a brick and mortar, the city would have no problem with them coming in. But because it's a food truck, now all of a sudden they got a problem. What Chick-fil-A is also doing, besides going into different cities with a food truck, is they're also looking to partner with Home Depot or Lowe's and be able to have their food trucks sit on those pieces of property. The state of Montana and the city of Great Falls, they adopted the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code. With the adoption of this fire code, there's new language that's been added that pertains to mobile food preparation vehicles. In Montana, the state fire marshal gave all food vendors until May 1 of 2024 to comply with those new regulations. The rules and regulations for fire inspections, the rules and regulations for just how a food truck operates, they're updated periodically. We're currently working off of a food code that should have been updated in 2021, but because of COVID, it was not. But eventually it's going to get updated, which means there'll be another massive changes set within just the food safety part of our business. But as you just heard, the International Fire Code was also updated. There'll be changes, and government wheels turn slowly. Just be expecting things that you're in compliance with now to perhaps not apply in the future, and you're going to have to make those changes. It's a part of doing business. Got to get used to it. Now, the last little thing I want to talk about today is called loss aversion. This is a theory, basically, that says the pain of losing something is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining the exact same amount. We're talking about loss in business. So if you were to lose $1,000, that hurts more than the pleasure you would get at gaining $1,000. So because of loss aversion theory, we are really bad about cutting our own losses. We're afraid because we want to hold on to the investment so we don't have a loss. There are times in our industry, there are people that hang on to the food truck way longer than they need to, crossing their fingers and hoping that things are going to turn around. Every food truck out there can be successful. You got to define what success is for you, and then you got to make it happen. For some people, it's having that $1 million a year average in sales. For other people, it's having that $50,000 a year average in sales. Both trucks can be successful relative to what the owner's needs are. You can have somebody that's part-time and make $30,000, $40,000 and be super happy because it's $30,000 or $40,000 extra in their pocket. And you got other people that when they do that $1 million in revenue, they need more. They want it to do $1.5 million next year. Both trucks can be considered successful, but you have to define what that success is to you. But I'm going to tell you, if the truck is not making the money it needs to make today and you don't make changes in how you operate, you're going to be one of those people that are hanging on to the truck longer than you need to. For some people, you're just not cut out to be a food truck owner or a business owner in general. Some people just get tired of it and they hang on to the truck because they're tired of it. But they don't want to lose it because of loss aversion. It hurts more to lose it, and it continues to hurt up until a point where getting rid of the thing actually becomes pleasurable. But by then you've already worn it out. You've already depreciated it too much. You've already made it difficult to sell it because it's not pristine anymore. I tell people you have got to run out on day one and start making money. And you can do it mathematically. Whatever you fall short on the very first day you're open has to be made up on day number 2. You cannot give up. You can't sit back and cross your fingers and go, well, it'll get better, because it won't. You have to work every single day at marketing. You have to work every single day at your operations. You have to work every single day to make your business successful. You can't sit back and wait. You have to attack it head on. So that wraps up everything that's been going on the last few days in our industry. Join me again next week, and we'll have an episode dedicated to what goes on all this week. And of course, join me a couple more times this week because I'll have different topics to talk about. One of them coming up is going to be all about shortening care. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow, because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.